Developing right now, the Taliban is rapidly gaining ground in Afghanistan, taking at least 11 capitals in just the past week, including one near the city of Kabul. And now the United States is sending 3,000 additional troops to the war-torn country. The Pentagon says the additional troops will help evacuate some personnel at the American embassy in Kabul. However, the State Department claims the embassy is still open and diplomatic work is continuing. The Pentagon saying the deployment of more troops is not a combat mission, but the spokesman says they will be ready to defend themselves if need be.
And joining us now with more insight on this rapidly developing situation, Washington Post military reporter Dan Lamont. Dan, thanks for talking with us about this tonight here. Calling it an airlift or a withdrawal, an evacuation or semantics here. Can you give us an idea of how tense, how dire and dangerous this operation is?
It's really hard to say. It's the kind of thing that could go very badly very quickly. At the moment, almost a good majority of the provincial capitals outside of Kabul are falling or have fallen. At this point, the second largest and the third largest city in Afghanistan have either fallen or will fall likely tonight.
How long do you think before Kabul goes?
It's a very good question. Earlier this week, we were able to report that the new U.S. intelligence assessment is within the next 90 days.
Now, they also say that, U.S. is drawing down on troops, but Afghan is saying that U.S. is abandoning them.
Yeah, it's a really ugly situation when it comes to that. You listen to President Biden and a lot of other people in the administration. They're saying that the Afghans need to fight. They need to try harder, basically. We are seeing wholesale units of Afghan soldiers lay down their arms rather than fighting the Taliban. So that is a part of the equation here as well.
Yeah, let's talk specifically about that as more cities fall here. One territory's governor arrested, accused of abandoning his people. Can you tell us some more specifics about that?
Yes, that's Ghazni province. That's about 80 miles west of Kabul. So at that point, that's pretty close for comfort in the capital city.
U.S. Embassy is telling Americans to get out of there ASAP right now. How organized is the effort to get them out right now? And also, some Afghans have been told to get out, those who've been interpreters and diplomats with us. How are they doing this? Especially since Turkish troops they're in charge of the airport right now, right?
Yes, the combination of Afghan soldiers and Turkish security forces at the moment that do most of the security at the airport. There are U.S. troops already on the ground that were kind of left behind, about 600 or so, that also assist with that. What we're looking at next is a pretty big airlift effort where these additional U.S. combat troops will come in, provide additional security at the airport, and then you're going to see plane after plane leave. Some combination of civilians that work at the embassy, and then there are thousands of Afghan interpreters and others who have assisted the U.S. government over the years.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, they're not going to all get out. It's just not going to happen. Many of them are outside of Kabul, and getting to Kabul at this point is extremely treacherous.
Well, Dan, Republicans are criticizing President Biden, but this withdrawal actually started with Donald Trump. Can you talk a little bit about the political dynamic and how it's viewed from here?
It's not a strict red versus blue issue like so many other things are in the United States these days. There are Democrats who are not happy with the way things are going as well, particularly on the interpreter issue. They feel like the Biden administration started way too late on that issue. There are many Republicans who also want to see the withdrawal continue, but the way that it has gone and the way that the Taliban has basically ascended over the last several weeks, and especially the last week, has really challenged things.
How afraid is the government that this could be another Benghazi, like from 2012, when at least, 4 or 5 Americans were killed, as well as the ambassador? Because right now the embassy is, it could be under fire soon.
I haven't heard that comparison made, but what I would note is 3,000 combat troops rolling in with machine guns, mortars, other things. They're bringing in a whole lot of firepower. I suspect a lot of that is a show of force. If you make it look way over the top that there's a ton of American security, I think the hope is that pushes the Taliban away, at least for the short term.
As this continues to take shape, what does the future hold for Afghanistan as the Taliban takes more and more control?
It really could go one of a couple ways right now. One, and this is something the last 4-star general in Afghanistan said before he left the country, there's a great deal of concern about a civil war. Taliban versus some combination of the outgoing government. Another way is that the Taliban simply takes over. And then a third way is that you're left with some sort of weird power sharing agreement that becomes increasingly less likely given how much power the Taliban has assumed in recent days.
U.S. troops are supposed to be out of there within weeks. And right now, the Afghan government, has shrunk to less than a third of the country's territory right now.
Yes, that's right. And I think the withdrawal is going to be kind of a weird thing at this point. Effectively, I was actually in Afghanistan last month when this happened. They kind of already have rolled up the flag, and effectively the military mission was over. The ones that were left were there to protect the embassy. What we're going to see now is the date's rapidly approaching. I don't know that that date really matters as much at this point as getting people out, as many as you can, as safely as you can.
This is an ever-changing issue going on right there. Dan Lamothe with the Washington Post. Thank you so much. Be safe, be well.
Thank you.